It's going to get dark. Mosquitoes are going to start descending on us. But at the end of the day, I'd just like to take just a few more minutes. Hi, Victor. A few more minutes just to kind of close out here on the idea that America is in a very difficult position right now. Probably a position that it hasn't been in a very, very long time. And it's incumbent upon us to come together. We, the people, come together and demand the change necessary. Not for us, for our children and our grandchildren. It's hugely important. We have to bring back a simple idea, a simple value, a simple principle: courage. Courage. Courage to stand up against what is not right.
Right.
Honesty
Right.
and telling the truth has become uncomfortable for people. It spooks people. And if you want to tell the truth and you want to be honest, you are labeled
Yep. Right. Absolutely.
too direct, rough around the edges, loose cannon, unpredictable.
Wear it as a badge of honor.
That's what they try to do. They try to name call. And now, because there is a clear front runner in the primary, Don Bolduc, things starting to happen.
Yep. It is.
So any statement I made in my entire life is being dug up.
Yep.
The nouns and verbs are being switched around. Dangling modifiers and participles are being moved around. And they are putting their version on the truth on something I said. And it is
Sickening.
national news. It is the Republican Party. It is Republican opponents.
Yep.
It is the Democrats. And I love every damn minute of it. It is what is necessary.
It is. Yeah.
3 examples in my life, and my wife knows how hard it was for me to be able to deal with this. I believe that I was fired from the United States military, not retired. And I was fired because I didn't agree with the Obama administration's, sorry to get in your way, the Obama administration's policies in Afghanistan. And nobody stood up in the meeting with Dunford, Milley, many other generals, except for me. What they were going to do was going to reverse the security in Afghanistan in 2013, 2014, and it was going to leave an opportunity for the Taliban to regain its control over the rural areas, allow Al-Qaeda to resurge, and increase U.S. casualties and other coalition casualties as a result. And by 2019, that's exactly what happened. In 2019, this was 2014, in 2019 we had the highest casualties among U.S. service members that we had had in Afghanistan up to that point. 2010 was the other date. We changed strategy to a bottom-up counterinsurgency strategy, which me and a number of other people put into place. I was in Afghanistan for a 22-month tour, and we put this in place, and we lost service members doing it, but it achieved the goal of gaining over 90% security in the rural areas, degrading, disrupting, and neutralizing not only the Taliban but Al-Qaeda. And in 2011, before he died, Mullah Omar, the commander of all the Taliban, said, with this strategy, we can't win, we're going to lose. And before we could finish it, which would have been about 2015, maybe 2016, the chief of staff of Obama, a guy by the last name of McDonough, who is now the secretary of the VA, and he's not even a veteran, strolls into Afghanistan to unroll this strategy that will fail. And I stood up and I said, please don't do this. This is not right. We have the studies from Rand and from our own guys, and look what we're doing, and you know, please don't do it. And I was told after that meeting, you weren't wrong, but it's not going to bode well for you. And I said, I don't care. I did that, and instead of going back to Afghanistan a year later as a 2-star commander for all the soft forces in Afghanistan, I got punished and I got sent to Africa, where I spent 4 years, and where I was put in charge of a 2-star command as a 1-star general. And they didn't promote me because we have the same problems there. Because of the same people making decision on strategy and policy.
I had no clue.
And I was warned again. And I said, I don't care. Fire me. And then, in 2013, my wife tells me, Don, I love you. But
Finally.
you have 10 tours in Afghanistan. You have post-traumatic stress. You've been blown up, helicopter crash, numerous firefights. You need to go get some help. And she was right. And so I did that. I went and got some help. And I took her with me. And I went to launch school. And I found a nurse, Sarah McNary. And Sarah McNary said to me, we can evaluate you for all these things. And they did. Pain management. I've had both my hips replaced due to bomb explosions. I've had 3 discs in my neck replaced due to a helicopter crash. I had traumatic brain injury because of the explosions, traumatic brain injury because of head injury in the helicopter crash. I have sleep apnea, which is a huge problem in America, a huge problem in our military, and we don't address it properly. I had mental injuries and physical injuries that need to be addressed. And I became a better version of myself, both personal and professional. But I did it under the radar because I was afraid. I was one of them. They had convinced me that I had to keep it quiet, that I couldn't say anything. Nobody should know. Keep it on the radar. And when I became a division level commander, I realized my responsibility for the men and women in my command. And I said, as looking in the mirror, I admonished myself. I said a prayer, and then I went to my command, and I got my subordinate commanders together, and I said, we have to do something about the mental, physical, and spiritual injuries of our service members. Because I believe that that is directly connected to the alcohol and drug problems we have, the inappropriate behavior in the workplace that we have, and the family violence that we have. Let's see. So we put something together. And I came public. And the New York Times wrote an article on it. And I got a phone call from my higher chain of command saying, that's it, pal. And I said, I'm not changing. I made promises to my men and women in my command that if you go through this program and you get help, I will not remove you from your job. I will not suspend your clearance. I will not stigmatize you. I will provide you the top cover you need. But I knew I was done. So, I'm here to ask for your vote. I'm here to ask you to put your trust in me, but I want you to ask yourself one question first. Why? Why should I? How do I know that you're any different than the rest of them? That you won't go down there and do the same thing they did. And that is get in line, become a millionaire, keep your head down, get elected, then get reelected, and it's all about you. Right? Well, I'll tell you why. I have two whys in my life. One is my family, and one is my service. And my family is hugely important to me because my tenets for this campaign, as it was in my service and in my life, is God, family, community, country. My wife is sitting back there and she's with me 100%. She got me to realize that I needed to help myself. And as a general officer, if I couldn't help myself, I had no business being in charge of anybody else. And so by doing that, I was able to develop the courage to not only look inside me and become a better person, but to put a program in place to help others and then fight off the 3- and 4-star generals who didn't like what we were doing because they didn't want to deal with the ramifications of putting our sons and daughters in wartime situations over and over and over again without a policy and strategy to justify it. They don't want that to come to light. And Congress is at fault for not doing their job. And the Secretary of Defense is at fault for not doing his. And the Secretary of State. And that B team that calls themselves the National Security Council staff. And the President of the United States himself. And all the generals and admirals that don't do the right thing. I've commanded thousands. But I did not bring home 72 men and women. These 72 men and women gave their lives, believing in our Declaration of Independence, our values and principles, and our Constitution. And they would do it again. And they knew it, that we didn't have the right policy and strategy, but they did it anyways. They did it anyways. And they would do it again. And despite pointing out the problems with policy and strategy, I was left with no other option. I spoke up about it. It did its damage to me personally and professionally. But I got to tell you, without my wife, without her courage, without her support for 33 and a half years, without my belief that I will not do anything to discredit myself in her eyes or the eyes of my family, I will do what I'm going to tell you I'm going to do. And that is go down to Washington, D.C. and fight for you. And on their lives, and on their sacrifice, and the sacrifice of their families, I will go down there and do the right thing. Because I have promised them, and I've made that promise to you. And so you should ask yourself that question when anyone stands up in front of you and tells you that they're going to run for office, become a United States Senator or a member of the House of Representatives, where they have the awesome responsibility of the livelihood, security, life of this nation in their hands. Why has special interests, lobbyists, and wealthy political elite become more important than you? Why has it become more important than them? I know what it's like. be on the battlefield and to have men and women die around you. I know what it's like to be a commander and send them into battle, have them come back on a helicopter, be there to pull their stretcher off the aircraft, know too well the signs of life slipping from somebody's eyes, to look straight down at them and realize probably not going to make it. To hustle them into the field hospital and stand at the foot of their stretcher and look into their eyes as the doctors valiantly and the nurses valiantly try to save their lives. Only to watch the life slip from their eyes and then having to write a letter home to parents, to wives, to children, knowing that at that time the policy and strategy did not justify that sacrifice. So we really have to think about who we put in charge of our government structures at the local, state, and federal level. You have an awesome responsibility to vet them. A responsibility that a lot of us have taken for granted. We got to stop that. We got to pull it back. You have to take control of your government, the destiny and future of your children and your grandchildren. Look at these children here right now. They are the future. What are we going to pass on to them? Because if it was today, we're not giving them much. But we can work together to fix this tomorrow. So I please ask you, I've shared a lot of personal things with you because I want you to see into my mind and my heart and where I'm at and why. I am like you. I am not above you. I am with you. That's what we need. That's what I'm offering. God has given me a set of responsibilities or a set of experiences to allow you to use me as a conduit, as a mechanism, as a person down there to fight for you. I'd be honored to do so. God bless you, God bless America, and live free or die.
Croc TV.